Hey fellow beekeepers, hope you're doing well. This is John with Sir Winston Honeybees. I sure am glad that you're joining us today. Boy, a lot has happened since the last week. Well, it seems like, I have to say, being a new beekeeper, this is my first year, every week it seems like a lot is happening. So, just to kind of give you a quick summary of what's going on is, my beehives, and first of all, you'll see that they're super tall right now if you watch my videos. I'll explain to you in 1 second why they seem so tall, but my bees are not drawing comb in this upper super that I set up, which means that they're not storing honey right now. At least that's what it was last week. And so what we're doing is we're feeding. So last Monday, I went to Medina, Ohio, which is just a few miles down the road from me over here. There was a meeting at the AI Root factory with some Medina County beekeepers, and Kim Flottum, the renowned beekeeper, expert, podcaster, author, he's there every month. And there's no better resource than Kim Flottum to ask questions. And so Kim Flottum, he kept asking, are you feeding? Are you feeding? And so I can conclude from the beekeeping expert is that I need to be feeding the bees. All right. So here's what's happening right now is I am feeding a 1-to-1 sugar water syrup to both hives. Last week when we left, I was only feeding one hive. I believe it was hive number 1. And I had a medium super covering a gallon bucket, which is not ideal. So I went to my friend Jesse Kim, who he loaned me some feeding buckets, and he loaned me some deep boxes so I could just protect the feeding bucket. Also, because I was putting the top cover or the outer cover on top of the honey bucket, so to speak, it was weighing down the bucket, smashing bees, and I think some of the sugar water was just kind of pouring into the thing a little faster than it should be. So what we got going on right now then is, thanks to Jesse, he's helping me out with some equipment. He also gave me some sugar boards that he suggested that I use in the winter time. So there's a lot going on. I got some great friends. Actually, Jesse's a former student of mine, and it's so great to see former students who are grown up, beautiful wife, Jenna, beautiful children, and he's got the same hobby as I do. So he's been doing it for longer than I have. I visited him a couple of days ago, visited his bees, and he also showed me how to do a mite count. So we'll be doing that here probably next week or later this week. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go into hive number 1. We're going to see how much of the water, the sugar, the nectar, if you will, they've been drinking or eating, and hopefully storing. Now, we're not so concerned now if the hive becomes honey bound, because at this time of year, the queen, her laying slows down. All right, so we won't see as many eggs. She's going to slow down laying and just kind of start preparing for winter. So we'll see what the frames look like in hive number 1. Hive number 2 also being fed, and since hive number 2 is our weaker hive, we're going to leave the robbing guard on there, just to be sure that since we're feeding now, that we have no robbing. I haven't seen anything of concern. They seem pretty normal. I did notice that in the evening, hive number 1, which is more populated, it's been very humid. It's been raining a lot in Northeast Ohio. It's 2021, so it's been raining a lot the past week, and it's been so humid that the bees in hive number 1 are bearding like hardcore. That means they're outside just chilling, right? Just trying to stay cool. Well, not so much bearding in hive number 2. So we're gonna go in there and make sure that everything is okay. I don't expect there's been a swarm or anything. I just don't think there's that many bees in there, so they have lots of room and they're not on top of each other. So that's what we're gonna do. Let's check out hive number 1 and let's see what's going on. All right, so I'm trying to give you as good an angle as I can with my GoPro. You don't see me or very much of me, plus me is not what you want to see. You can see right here is our feeding bucket that I just put on a couple days ago. It was full, and I believe that was like 48 hours ago. In the front entrance, as you can see, is not very crowded, so obviously the bees are not in the hive right now. A lot of the bees are foraging. There's over 10,000 bees in this hive, so a lot of them are out foraging right now, so it's not too crowded in the box. Let's see how much of this sugar water they're taking, how much they've taken in the past couple days. And, you know, we're going to keep feeding them because it's time for them to start storing some of this sugar water. They have to survive winter, and that's our goal right now. Just going to go ahead and slide it over. Again, I put this in 48 hours ago. It feels like about half full. So it's about half full. They're taking it. I don't have to do anything with it right now, but they're taking the water, so that's good. As you can see, they're all hanging out. And look how they're doing forming a little ring. Forming a little ring right there. Look at that. Is that cute or what? So we have a super on the top over here. It's a honey super above a queen excluder. We're looking to see if they're finally drawing comb and if they're starting to store honey or nectar, at least, what they're doing with this. They might still have some frames on the bottom boxes that they're trying to fill. So again, let's see how they're doing. It's not a desperate situation. We still have time before winter and the cold weather gets here, but we got to feed them. We can tell just from looking that there aren't a lot of bees, at least on top, but they do have to come up to get that sugar water. So they are frequenting this area, and we'll see what they're doing. The other thing is I need to do is, my gloves are getting nasty with propolis, so I need to clean them or buy new gloves. I'd rather clean them so I can, you know, I'm open for suggestions on how to clean propolis off of these cowhide gloves. Someone suggested just put them in water, warm water, and just kind of rub my hands and the propolis will dissolve. But again, any good suggestions from my viewers, which reminds me, please make sure that you're subscribing. Please make sure that you're clicking the notifications on so you can get notifications when I post new videos. And as always, like my videos. All right, so we're seeing population of honeybees, but we're not seeing comb drawn. I do see, they are propolizing it though, so they're doing something to the edges of it, but no drawn comb here. Same. We're seeing the same here. Same here. We shouldn't be seeing a queen up here because there's a queen excluder and the queen's body won't fit through the queen excluder. All right, so they're beginning to draw comb on here. That's a good sign. This is Acorn Foundation. It is the foundation that has, you know, a lot of comb on it or wax on it. So I can tell you that they are beginning to draw comb. Very little, but they are drawing comb. There's a lot of bees hanging around there in that one particular area. And like I said, they are propolizing and they're depositing into the little cells. So something is happening and we are going to continue to feed. Nothing here. Nothing. Nothing. And nothing. We don't worry too much about bee space usually in the honey supers, just because sometimes if they're a little bit further apart, they'll tend to draw the comb outside of the boundaries of the frame, which makes it easier to cut the caps off. Right now, of course, we're still trying to get to drawn comb. So here's our queen excluder. As you can see, it's got these slats and the queen's body won't fit through there. Smaller bees, obviously, worker bees can come up and down easily. I don't know if drones can come through them. I suspect they probably can. I don't see any drones on here. Let's take a look at our first frame. And on the back side, I'm seeing lots of drawn comb. And on the front side, I'm seeing almost a perfect frame of drawn comb, capped honey. We see some pollen, and not a lot of pollen, but they have been bringing pollen in. Drawn comb, nicely drawn comb here. There's no eggs, so no evidence of the queen, and they are depositing nectar. So they are storing resources, at least on this frame. And this frame is ready for nectar. So yes, continue feeding for sure on this frame. Again, a full frame of drawn comb. I see some drone, those are drone cells right there. Those ones that are sticking up are drones, but there's no emergency queen cells. And we see a lot of brood has emerged. That means that, so here we see more brood. This is a frame full of brood. And we do see on the very bottom there, there's an emergency queen cell, but that's been there for a few weeks. So I do see some fresh larvae that hasn't been capped. So this nice looking white new comb. New white comb as well, with some capped honey. So they are storing the sugar water. You just want to see them move up. All right, take a look at these guys. Take a look at this box real quick. See if we find our queen. She might have moved to the bottom, but she might be laying down here. So let's take a look. See a bee carrying a bee carcass. He's about to fly off. There he goes. Carried off a bee carcass. Interesting. All right, so there's some fresh larvae in this one. Little baby larvae, like 1 day old. So the queen's been working here very recently. She might still be on here or the other side. This is a very, very packed frame, as you can see. Very hard to spot a queen with that many bees, but there is evidence of recent queen activity on this frame. So that's a good sign, and that's what we want to see. Again, queens will slow down this time of year, but they still have a job to do, right? To procreate the hive. Okay, hive number 2, old queen, and also being fed. We added this bucket about 2 days ago. This is our new hive that came from a split from hive number 1 after we saw the swarm cells. Old queen is in here, and of course she's good at her job. I'm going to take a look inside. Number 1, are they taking the bucket? Are they taking the food? And of course, is the hive growing? Because they were being robbed, and so we have this robbing screen right here, which I'm probably going to leave on just to make sure they don't get robbed as long as I'm feeding them. So let's take a look, slide this off. It's also about half full. They're taking about the same amount, so that's pretty good. So in a couple days we'll go ahead and refill both of them. I'll say the bees in the other hive were quite gentle today, were tolerant of my inspection, and so that means that they're actually pretty happy. They're not stressed, they're not being robbed, and they're getting food. So I believe they're actually in a good state right now. As far as their well-being is concerned, it's their winter readiness that I'm mostly concerned with. So last time we added this, a couple weeks ago, we added this new brood box with some empty frames. So let's see how the new queen or the new bees are doing with the old queen in this hive. So as I pull this guy out, this frame out, I'm seeing lots of open cells. It's very calm. On the bottom we've just got some regular comb, and we have some emerging brood on here. I don't see any new eggs, and they're storing nectar in some of these frames. They are drawing some comb on this slowly, but they're starting to do their work. This one's empty, but as you can see, this one, they're drawing comb. Again, they're slowly drawing comb. This side they're doing a little bit better, and they're storing nectar in the open cells. A lot of emerging brood. Oh, we got some larvae, some small young larvae in this one. Say, because there are still empty frames, I mean, we just added this box last week, remember? So we did bring up some resources, or 2 weeks ago. But this is a weaker hive, and it's not very populated. So, you know, we want to protect this hive from robbing, and so I'm going to leave the robbing screen on there. Cool story, if you care. So I went, my wife and I, for our anniversary a couple of days ago, we went to the Palace of Gold in West Virginia. So I don't know if you're familiar with this, but the Palace of Gold was created in the 1970s by the Hare Krishnas. The founder of the Hare Krishnas, and I can't pronounce his name, was actually started the movement in New York City with a couple other students, and it came out, they were looking for a place to build a commune, and somebody said that you can have, you know, 200 acres of land in West Virginia that belong to my family for a cheap price. And you can build there, and it's in the hills of West Virginia, and it's all good. So they came out there, and they built this, what they call the Palace of Gold. And it's a beautiful, it's a, you know, large commune, still active with Hare Krishnas today. And up on the hill is this Palace of Gold, where the founder of the Hare Krishnas, who had come from India, was going to live. And it's beautiful. It was all handmade by these students, you know, 19, 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds. They wanted to create this beautiful place for their spiritual leader, and they did. And so they built this Palace of Gold in the hills of West Virginia, near Wheeling. You should check it out if you're in the area. The cool part is that now that I'm a beekeeper, I'm observant of honeybees. And what I saw up there were black honeybees. And we don't usually see black honeybees up around Northeast Ohio. In fact, I don't believe they're very common in the United States, and a couple of years ago, they almost became extinct in England. And so they have had black honeybees, which was cool. I asked one of the Hare Krishnas how the black honeybees got there, and she said, it just happened. She couldn't really explain it. So, you know, it just happened is just not good enough. I was hoping to kind of be invited to somebody's apiary down there at the Hare Krishna colony, but they didn't invite me. They were lovely people, but they're constantly trying to get us to read their quote-unquote Hare Krishna Bible, which is kind of a way of trying to convert us. But they are very good. So check it out, Palace of Gold. It's open for tours. They are storing nectar, but remember on the top box we saw brood up there. And also remember, this time of year, oh, there's a bee emerging. At this time of year, the queen slows down. So we're not going to see as much activity as we usually see earlier in the year, like the spring. Lots of brood, cap brood on this one. Beautiful frame, cap brood. Some new eggs. Still standing up. So that means that she might have been here today. She might be on there right now, and I'm not seeing her. Well, overall, guys, I thought we had a pretty good inspection. We checked both hives. Hive number 1 looks healthy. You know, again, they're not drawing comb on the top super, but they are drawing comb on some of the other frames that we have inside the hive. So I'm not going to be concerned about that. They are taking the water. They're storing it in there, and new queen is actually laying eggs in there. We saw eggs, we saw larvae, young larvae, older larvae, lots of cap brood, and we saw some nice frames. Hive number 2, which old queen, also looked pretty good. Again, we didn't see the queen in either hive, but we saw lots of activity and lots of evidence of the queen in both hives. Hive number 2 with old queen is again a younger hive, and because of that, we're going to keep the robbing guard on, and I'm actually going to change the entrances to it just to make sure that they're not getting robbed. But it seemed pretty healthy in there, you know, and there's lots of cap brood. Again, evidence of queen activity, so we're going to see new bees emerging there in the next few weeks. You know, it's the middle of August, and we still have a few months before we really start to get concerned, but I think we're going to be okay, but we'll know next week because every week brings new challenges. Again, I want to remind you to subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and hit the notifications so that you get notifications of, you know, my new videos. I appreciate you watching, as always. Your comments are appreciated because I need all the advice I can get. I'm a first-year beekeeper, and I want to thank all those people that, you know, comment, and some of the experts in the Facebook group, and Kim Flottum for giving me some advice as far as feeding the bees are concerned. So I want to continue doing that. In a couple of days, I'll probably have some new sugar water just to give them. I won't have to show that to you, but in the future, I should probably have some out here just to fill up. Until the next time, though, guys, again, thanks a lot for watching. I'm John Murphy, and this is Sir Winston Honeybees, and happy bees, everybody.